afternoon. Happy New Year. Welcome to Jeffco Patriot Radio. It is Sunday, January the 11th, 2026, and you thought you were going to get yours truly and Billy Crow back, but we've upgraded today with Chris Howard. I'm teasing Billy. Billy's listening somewhere.
Poor Billy.
Billy had to take care of an important family matter. Everybody's okay. Everybody's healthy, but he had to tend to some matters at home, and family comes first.
That's right.
First thing we want to do is thank Jefferson County. Thank you for everyone in Jeffco and the adjoining areas who've been listening to us over the past year. You have helped make Jeffco Patriot Radio one of the most downloaded, viewed, and talked about radio shows, podcasts, and social media news outlets in the region. Today also marks a major milestone for the program, our first full video episode. That's why Chris Howard has on all his makeup and wore his Sunday finest.
Well, I don't know about makeup, lipstick on a pig maybe, but yes, I'm excited to be the first.
You can now watch full-length shows on both YouTube and Rumble, not just clips. You get the whole program. And as always, you can listen every Sunday here at high noon at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. If you are outside of our listening area or have any troubles at all with the signal, simply download the News Talk STL app on iPhone or for iPhone or Android devices. Carry us with you. Literally, you can do that around the planet. Chris Howard, welcome back to the program. You're no stranger.
Not at all, and I'm happy to be here, Tim.
Are currently serving in St. Louis County government, and you're now running for Jefferson County Executive. We're going to get into more of that in our third segment of the program. How does it feel to be the very first politician, public servant to become a YouTube star on Jeffco Patriot Radio?
Well, I'm hoping I become a YouTube star. We'll see. But yeah, it's exciting. I think it's great for the station, and congratulations, and I think it'll be great.
Thank you. Doesn't that come usually with you become a YouTube star, like you do this monetized thing, right? Are we going to start getting royalty checks and things?
That would be. I like where your head's at, Tim. I like that a lot.
We would come back every single week, and I'm going to be here as much as I can throughout the year. Crow will hopefully back with us next week. I'm trying to remember. I may be traveling next week. We're kind of passing in the night, but Jeffco Patriot Radio will always roll on. Following Jeffco Patriot Radio every single Sunday is St. Charles Patriot Radio. We have a whole host of weekend programming here at News Talk STL. This is a fantastic station. We're about to hit our 5th year anniversary milestone.
Has it been that long?
It's really amazing. It'll be 5 years this July. Can you believe that?
I can't. That's amazing.
We're the little engine that could.
Did.
Yeah. Thank you for being part of that. I'm going to talk about some topics because we had the kickoff of the legislative session. You used to be under the Capitol Dome with me when I was in the Speaker's office.
That's right. First
of all, though, I'd love to get an update. I know the audience would love to hear an update about all the theatrics and drama. You couldn't write this script in Hollywood, I think, if you tried. The ongoing sad saga of the reign of Page is thankfully but painfully and slowly coming to an end. Were you guys surprised at all, or did you think maybe the writing was on the wall that he was going to not run for re-election?
Yeah, I think we all of us thought, even a lot of Democrats thought the writing was on the wall, Tim. He wasn't raising money. He was getting no traction.
That's usually a big sign.
That's right. That's usually a big sign. He was getting nowhere, just raising money big time. We knew that Jake Zimmerman was making calls, and now he's out. We surprised that he said he wasn't running again. Now the question is he end up getting forced to resign early?
Does he act on his way out the door? Because Chris, he will be, if serves his full term, we're stuck with him for this entire calendar year, right?
His term is up on January 1st of 2027.
And then we'll finally swear in a new county executive.
Amen to that, brother.
It would be wonderful if it was the Republican. I think there's only one announced Republican
Dennis
candidate.
Hancock.
It would be wonderful if it was Dennis. I have worries because of the ever-changing, unfortunate demographics of St. Louis County, but we'll always keep hope alive. Dennis would be an excellent county executive, wouldn't he? Because he was an excellent mayor.
That's right.
Yeah, and if he ran, from everything I've seen and heard, he ran Fenton like a fine, like a
and he's been great, with budget struggles we've had and really getting into that. He point all the time, and he was always, and thing that's happening in St. Louis County Council that's not happening anywhere else in this country is you have 6 members of the council working together consistently. 3 of those people are real Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I know. All Democrats.
They're legit Democrats.
Legit, not dinos instead of rhinos?
Yeah. I don't, they're not leftists, are they?
No.
Definitely Democrats.
But they're true Democrats, right? And then you have 3 Trump-loving Republicans.
Yes.
And so these people are working together in a way that's never happened before.
That's how bad Sam Page was.
Sam Page wasn't how bad the financial crisis that he's helped create is.
Now, okay, let's some hypotheticals here. If we, God forbid, subjected another Democratic county executive after Sam Page, let's talk about Brian Williams versus Jake Zimmerman. They're the only 2
right now
announced candidates.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sunday, today they're it.
Served with Jake Zimmerman way back in the day in the House.
Correct.
He is definitely a hardcore liberal Democrat.
He is definitely that.
Brian Williams, I know him less well, but from everything I know about him, I kind of like. Is that wrong of me?
No, I've had minimal interactions with him, but every time we've had a conversation, he's friendly. He's been very open. He's very appreciative of some of the work that I've done with the council in terms of the budget. So, right then he's just on the wrong side of the aisle and got some things I disagree with. I don't feel a lot of fault in comparison to somebody like Jake Zimmerman, or especially compared to Sam Page.
From what I've witnessed, Brian Williams is not of the bomb thrower type.
He's demonstrated that yet.
He's someone you can actually sit down and have a conversation and agree to be disagreeable.
That's right.
Okay.
And what's is back when Sam was on the council, he was that way.
Yes.
But when he went up to the 9th floor, that all changed.
What happened?
So I have a theory. So if you think about the last several county executives, that's happened to all of them. They've all gone off the deep end. And have you been up in the county executive's office in St. Louis County?
Once or twice.
Okay.
It's pretty, from what I remember.
It's a big office, but they're 1970s, thick pile, shag, bright red. I'm talking red rug.
Really?
I think
we all in our homes, it was either red or green back in the 70s.
That's right. And I think that there's probably chemicals coming off of it, and the bright red, I think it messes with their... I'm serious.
That's as good of a theory as anything else I've heard, because I don't know what has happened to these fellows.
Oh, but something happens.
Deep end, going off the deep end, indeed, is truly the case. Well, that's going to be an exciting year to watch St. Louis County, because Dennis Hancock will be running most likely as the Republican nominee, and either Brian Williams, Jake Zimmerman, or a player to be named later.
Correct.
We'll see what happens after the dust settles. Will be running on the Democratic side.
That's right.
Will the council change at all if you look into your cloudy crystal ball? Well, someone will run for Dennis Hancock's spot.
Yeah, that's Andrew Key's
which
announced.
Would be fantastic.
I'm with you on that.
You and I have known Andrew Koenig. He is a young man. I know he's been in years in the Missouri General Assembly. Right. He's a very young man when he started. He is a legislator's legislator.
He is. He gets the details.
Guy.
Right. Might be fun.
Do you think,
if I'm still there?
And this is really hard to figure out, perhaps, because you're going to have such a different casting. But do you think that this could possibly continue when there's no Sam Page to kick around anymore?
Right. So you're talking about the enemy, my enemy is my friend kind of game.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I think that, so let's say it's Brian. Brian's the county
Williams.
Right. So if it's Brian Williams, to have the opportunity to give him advice, I'd be like, listen, sit down with the Republicans and say, what is it you want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And then work, if it's something that he can live with, work to accomplish it. And then you have that sense of bipartisanship. I think the budget will be something that drives bipartisanship anyways, because there's no other choice. The fund balances are gone. If it's going to be harder for him to do that, I think, because of his political ideology. Dennis will be able to do that. He's worked very well with Rita Days, who has a challenger.
I would agree with that.
She has a primary
challenger. Oh, she does? Okay.
Yeah, so I think help put someone up against her. Lisa Clancy has a primary challenger. I don't know what that's about. So I expect Lisa will win. I expect that Rita will win. Mark Harder doesn't yet have a challenger, so I expect he will win. And so it's really a matter of what.
Before we leave the county of St. Louis, tell us about the budget situation. You are intricately involved in that, given the position you have. And we've been closely here at News Talk STL, especially the morning show. Mike Ferguson, Susie Moore have been. Plus, we have Mark Harder on the weekends with his show. So that it's not in good shape. Is that horrible. An understatement?
No, it's as you can imagine. They've been for 15 years, money they didn't have, and kept raising their costs. There was no reduction, and so this year it's so bad that we had to use $15.6 million of Rams money to balance the budget. Sam wanted $59 million of the Rams money, over half of it, and today there is no money left to appropriate for anything else unless it comes out of NFL money. The general fund. The biggest, $20,000. That's all that's left.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The health fund, the $100. Parks is in not shape. They got $300,000.
They must be managed a little better.
Well, we didn't punish as much in the cuts but yeah, I mean.
5 minutes ago, feels like 5 minutes ago, that there was tens of millions of dollars of surplus.
There was.
Sloshing around in St. Louis County government coffers.
Well, 10 years ago, there were hundreds of millions. Now it's all gone.
So this is what mismanagement looks like.
That's right. And so the council,
and it's because Republicans and you and others have tried to. I've heard the warning signs and
we've talked about it 10 years.
Shouting from the rooftops about what should not be done versus what Sam Page did do.
I stood in front of the council 5 years ago when I took this new position, and I said the wall's coming. And I stood in front of the council Tuesday, and I told them, you've hit the wall.
You hate to be right on something like that.
You hate to be right.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we told you. Before we get back to Jefferson County, Jefferson City was a much busier place than it typically is this time of year because the legislature went back into session.
And all of our liberties.
That's right. Your freedoms, your liberties, and your pocketbook are very much at risk, indeed. However, not necessarily so if Governor Kehoe's landmark proposition makes it across the finish line this year, and that is a proposal to the voters of the state of Missouri, the citizens, to completely overhaul and streamline our antiquated system of taxation.
Yeah, and it's the current system is punitive. Potentially, people can lose their homes, and so yeah.
We are overtaxed, I would argue. So many people believe Missouri, because we're in flyover country and we're this simple, backwoods hillbilly state, that we have a low cost of living. And from managing work and even in Jefferson County or adjoining counties, you pick up your real estate property tax bill.
Right.
Look at all the line items on that.
Right.
You can cherry pick up and go, well, that's a low tax. How about adding it to the other 20 or 30 taxes we get?
Lines.
And we realize that Missouri is not a low tax state.
Right.
We are an excessively overtaxed state.
No, you're 100% right, Tim. People always say, well, low tax rates. And I said, yeah, but we have more taxing entities than anybody else.
That's correct. I think technically, State Representative Ben Keithley, Chesterfield, did an analysis on this, and he determined that out of all the taxing jurisdictions in the country, Missouri has like the lion's share of them. Right. We have thousands of taxing jurisdictions. We have 500 and some odd school districts. Mm-hmm. We have 14 counties plus the city of St. Louis.
That's right.
We have water districts, sewer districts. Then we have all those special taxing jurisdictions, the TDDs and the TIFs and IDs and I could go on and on and on.
That's right.
And everybody says, oh, it's just a half cent here or a quarter cent there. Suddenly, after a while, you're talking about real money.
That's right.
And so my argument is, you got to start eliminating some of these taxes. Why not get rid of the biggest, I believe, my humble opinion, most regressive, immoral, the one on our labor. Yeah. And Chris, as we were discussing before the show, there are 9 states in the country that have a zero income tax. Guess what? They're all in the top 10 states for GDP growth, prosperity, and plentitude for people. They're not just states like Texas, Florida. We're
talking about Washington State,
states
where
like
my brother lives.
Washington State
was one of the most liberal states out there.
Has no income tax. That's why they're still hanging on.
That's right.
You've got states like, you're probably the best comparison because it's a landlocked state like Missouri. No palm trees or beaches.
That's right.
They have the Smokies, but they have like snow-covered mountain caps.
That's right. We got Nashville. We got Branson.
They used to be the backwater to Missouri. They used to be behind us in all the economic metrics. By incorporating their no income tax model and adding additional cuts at universal school choice, so more, they have leapfrogged ahead of us on population and GDP growth. There's a lesson to be learned there.
So I believe it. I don't know if you remember this. I used to live in Memphis. Just north of Memphis and just north of Tipton County or in Tipton County, just north of Shelby County. And so that transition was just starting while we lived there. They had just elected a Republican governor when I lived there, and all that stuff started, and the economy started to take off, and they hadn't even gotten very far down that road. But just easing some of those burdens out of the gate has made a huge difference, and that's why Missouri's fallen behind states like Tennessee, Indiana, all these others.
Kentucky and others.
Kentucky, right.
We need to be more like some of our competitive neighbors and like New York and California. We'll continue that. Yes, indeed. We'll continue that discussion in the third segment. We got a very special guest that you and I have known for many years.
Long time.
We're going to shift gears to a pro-life discussion.
Love pro-life.
Chris, we got a very special guest coming up. We're going to talk about an issue that they will be talking about in Jefferson City, as they do every year. That's the pro-life issue. Who is our special guest for the second segment?
Hasha Kunzel, old friend, current county councilor in Jefferson County, and she pioneered some of these pro-life debates when it comes to embryos and IMF and all this other stuff. It's going to be a great conversation.
Indeed. Well-known pro-life legal advocate and Jefferson County councilor, Hasha Kunzel, joining us next on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Chris and I will be right back with Hasha when we return on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey Jeffco, this is Jim Avery from Avery Injury Law. We're personal injury attorneys that specialize in car wrecks, dog bites, semi-truck crashes, or really anything that happens that's not your fault that results in an injury. At Avery Injury Law, you can trust us to help you when you have to fight with the insurance companies. Don't battle them alone. Choose your friend, Jim Avery from Avery Injury Law. I'm not afraid of insurance companies. Let me fight them for you. Contact us at 314-549-5600 or averyinjurylaw.com.
Welcome back to Jeffco Patriot Radio. I am your host, former Speaker of the House, Tim Jones, with my beautiful and talented, that's you, co-host Chris Howard. Chris, great to have you with me today. Thanks
pleasure,
so
sir.
much. Billy Crow will be back next week. And we have a very special guest that you and I have known for
time.
many, many years. We won't say how long to date any of us. Hasha Kunzel joining us once again here at News Talk STL, frequent flyer here on these airwaves. Jefferson County Counselor, pro-life legal advocate. We're going to talk embryo custody, whatever the heck that is. We're going to learn. IVF, something has been in the news quite a bit over the last many years. Missouri family law and more. And why, most importantly, all this matters to you, Jeffco County conservatives. Hasha, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you back.
Yeah.
So, man, where to begin with you? We had this discussion many years ago
Yep.
when you were still going through all this. So how about just tell us the issue.
Recap.
Tell us the issue first. Do us a little
I'll
Cliff
try
Notes
to be
recap.
as succinct as I can.
And then we'll ask you questions about where it went from there.
Right. So many years ago, I'd say probably 2010, 2011, I was married at the time with my second husband, and we had 4 embryos that we had conceived in IVF because we were geographically separated. And so we used 2 of them. I implanted 2 of them, and they are now my 18-year-old sons, Brevin and Tristan.
Wonderful.
And the other 2 we froze to use later, to implant later. And things got really messy. He ended up hitting me, and that was a very messy situation. And we went through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, though, we had signed an agreement that said if we divorced, I would get the other 2 remaining embryos. And I did not realize that that meant nothing.
So the agreement was determined to be unenforceable and invalid.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And not only that, I felt, as an attorney, I felt confident that at least the contract would be upheld. But even if that, in Missouri, there is a statute that says life begins at conception, and that life should be protected. And so I felt like I was a pretty good ground to go forward with the case. I ended up losing it, and very, very surprisingly. And then it just became a big fight. Went to the Court of Appeals. They issued some 40-something page document that they did a whole bunch of legal gymnastics to try to justify why I wasn't going to get the embryos. And Judge Dowd, I believe it was, he did a very nice 6-page, simple, like, hey, why are we legislating from the bench? We shouldn't be doing this.
His dissent in the case?
His dissent in the case was very, very well put.
So what did that decision do to the embryos?
They are basically, me and my ex still own the embryos. They are considered property in Missouri, which is incredibly disappointing for me, and I think for maybe a lot of people. But this is the issue, right? There's 1 million embryos, probably more, in the United States that are frozen. Every day, more and more embryos are being conceived. There's no real regulation on these embryos and how much can be conceived or not. And it's a real problem. I mean, we have just millions of frozen human beings in the United States right now, and that number's growing. Nobody has any idea what to do with them other than to try to adopt them out. Some of them are terminated or killed. Some of them are experimented on. And some of them, like in my case, they're separated from their families and not allowed to be with their family. So to me, this is an ex-slavery issue, honestly, in the United States.
So after the passage of nearly 15 years of time from when you said this saga first began, has there been any developments in Missouri law or any other states that we can look to that have properly handled the situation?
No,
or is this
I
all still in
believe-
legal limbo?
I believe my case is still the sentinel case in Missouri,
Wow.
which
The
means
spear right there.
which means that, yes, the embryos are property in Missouri, and I can't do anything with them, and he can't do anything with them without each other's consent, which essentially means that the person that doesn't want them to see the light of day is the one that's going to win the case.
Right.
It's incredibly disappointing. As Chris said, I've assisted in a lot of embryo legislation, trying to get that through. That's been a bear, obviously, as everybody knows, and you know, that's a difficult hill to climb.
Has the passage of the bad Amendment 3 from last year thrown this into more legal mystery? Or
Yeah, because
thought
it's
about
not.
that at all?
Yes, no, I have thought about it, and actually, I think it may, in my case, actually help. Which is kind of interesting, but because it's a reproductive right? So it goes into this reproductive right
So in a
scenario.
backdoor way, as bad as the bad Amendment
is a
3
bad,
was, it
yes.
could end up assisting your legal theory.
It could be, but I don't think that's going to be the case because even in Missouri, like I said, we had the statute that said life begins at conception. They threw that out. So I have no confidence that this is actually going to help my case.
Will the new Amendment 3 be of any more assistance to you in that battle?
Yeah, I haven't reviewed that one, but I would say if it has a pro-life leaning, then yes, absolutely, it would. Because
that's the case.
we need to see these human lives. We need to see them as valuable.
Right.
We need to see them as human beings, which is what they are. And for us to be, so blasé about it, and even people who are pro-life don't understand this is going on. Everybody wants to have children, and my heart goes out to people who want to have biological children, but they have to understand there comes a price with that they might not be thinking about.
Right. Well, and you've been an incredible advocate. I know, we were talking before the show, before you got here, and what an incredible advocate you've been on this. And you're 100% right. One of my great fears, and one of the reasons I've always been pro-life, my wife has been, is that the minute you start devaluing that form of life, you very quickly start to devalue all the other forms of life. And that's where we find ourselves today in a lot of cases.
Yeah, there is this idea where there is a difference between personhood and life, right? Yeah. And there's some kind of legal distinction people are trying to make. But that is just, it's actually more intellectually insincere, right? Because any time in this development from when a sperm hits the egg, any line that's drawn is an arbitrary line,
that's
frankly. It's all arbitrary.
Oh, the current state of the race, the current state of domestic law, marital law in the state of Missouri, has really left this, after all these years, as still an unanswered question, right? As to what happens with frozen embryos.
Well, I mean, it's not really unanswered.
Yes and no.
My case answered it, which is
not answered appropriately.
Right. Yeah. But they answered it in that is the case that people look to when they go in the trial level to family courts. They're going to look at my case and say, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to win this, or blah, 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 or they'll try to work it out. I have no idea. But
have there been any recent efforts to go to the legislature and try to undo this damage?
There was. I think last year, maybe it was last year, a year before, there was legislation that would have assisted with the judges making determinations on what to do with it, because that's what the legislature.
So in your mind, if you could wave your magic wand, what would be a better, practical, more proper solution?
Well, I believe in these cases where it goes in front of the family court, I believe it is the individual who wants to bring these embryos to birth, that should be given those embryos. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, this costs a lot of money, time, emotion, years sometimes for these embryos to be even conceived. And so that itself, and plus, my view is that they're human life. It's not everybody's view. But just looking at that, I think you would have a lot of support from people.
Here's a challenging question, and I'm not trying to put you on a spot. So when you said the person who wants to bring them
to birth.
Yes. So what if, and not in your case, but what if in another case, that's the guy, man, and not the potential mother?
That's fine.
You would still stand by
that.
Because
human life is human life,
right.
And you have to value it. And if the father wants to, that's what happened in Nick Loeb's case. So the Loeb versus Sofia Vergara case, which I was the lead counsel for, that's what he was doing. He wanted the embryos. He wanted his two girls, and she didn't. And so he sued her to try to get them. And we tried to do somewhat of a lawsuit down in Louisiana, interestingly enough, and that ended up, not going. But it was a very grueling several years, because I was fighting Goliath. I mean, she had all kinds of money, and this law firm was coming after me every year trying to get my license, suspended or something, with some crazy cockamamie thing. I was in tabloids. It was so crazy. And then finally, they had convinced the judge in that case that I was doing something nefarious with my client, which was not the case. And I ended up having to drop out of the case. I did have my own lawyer. I self-reported Louisiana bar, and they cleared me. So I have a letter that clears me. Of course, people want to look at all the sensational
but then the damage
stuff.
is done by that point.
Well, I'm still here, so the damage wasn't done.
Yeah. Well, but you know what I'm saying.
As we sit here in 2026, to the best of your knowledge, is there any pending litigation anywhere in the country outside of Missouri, or is there any model policy legislatively that's been constructed, that's been proposed to any state legislatures to address this problem?
I have not looked at this recently, to be honest, but I do know Arizona had a similar idea of having whoever wanted the embryos in a family court case to take the embryos, and I think that would have been, again, theirs was a little more convoluted than the ones that were introduced in Missouri, but I think that's the best option in these kind of cases, because these are the kinds of cases that really, make or break people.
Right.
Honestly.
Hasha Kunzel, our guest here this afternoon, Jefferson County Counselor, pro-life legal advocate. Let's move to the first part of that title that you have. Jefferson County Counselor. We got a few minutes left. What does the Jefferson County Counselor do on a day-to-day basis?
That is a great question. Because
many people get the answer wrong.
I always get people that ask me if I'm on the council. That happens so many times. Like, they think I'm one of the council members. I'm like, no, I'm the county attorney is usually what I end up saying. Right. And also people feel like they can call me for advice, and I can't do that either. So,
like Lucy.
Right.
Drop a quarter in the cup.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that. I don't do that. My job is to represent and give advice, legal advice, to the county governmental entity. So that is my job.
Legislative, executive branch administration.
Yes, all the above. So, and in some ways, I mean, that is an extension of the residents of Jefferson County because they voted for it, right? Also, their taxpayer money is being used.
That's
so
right.
all of that comes into account when I make
a couple laws with those, right?
Yeah, when I give advice, I do take all of that into account. The things that's important part of my job, but that's what I do. I give advice to the county government.
So let me ask you this, because I have some very good experience or not good experience with St. Louis County's county council, where they have a whole team. So how do you handle the county executive versus council, and they're both asking you for advice? And who ultimately do you have to answer to?
I have to answer to my client, which is the county, as a governmental entity. And so I have certain ethical rules I have to follow as an attorney, which trumps everything. Right. And I also have a dedication to my craft, which means, I'm going to give the advice that is the least risky. I have to.
Risk mitigation.
That is the least risky of getting sued or getting in trouble.
To protect taxpayer dollars, right?
To protect taxpayer dollars and to protect the county, which essentially protects taxpayer dollars from being sued or doing whatever, which the taxpayers would have to pay for.
Right.
So my advice will always be the least risky for the client. Now, they may not like my advice, okay? But that's going to be my advice, Obviously, I've been trained as a lawyer. I've done it for many years. There's a certain amount of, that you have to look at the gray area.
Right.
And there's a lot of that. But again, my analysis is always going to be how I was taught how to analyze legally, which everybody should know how to do once they go through law school, and the least risky.
Yeah. And I know from my experience in St. Louis County, the People's Republic of, like Illinois, there have been a lot of times county counselors come down and talk to me about things and said, well, here's your risk. And I go, okay. And then I go ahead and tell the council to go ahead and do whatever. And they're like, wait a minute, I told you that was risky. And I said, yeah, I took that into account and we made that decision.
That's right.
The county counselor doesn't get to tell the entity, the county executive, county council.
I do not make decisions. I do not do that. I do not make decisions for the county. I simply advise and simply give you the information. If you want to do something else, completely fine. I could take it personally. Well, if you get sued, guess what? I get to say I told you so.
That's right.
Right.
Hasha, before we let you go, are there places people can find you? Do you want to be found? Are you on social media? Is there a website we can direct people to for any of the topics and discussions and occupations that you hold?
Yeah, if they go to the county website, they'll find my county counselor's office with a number if they have any questions. I mean, we're pretty open. I can't give you legal advice, but I can direct you to whoever, you need to talk to. So, yeah. I mean, I'm on Facebook and I think I'm still on Twitter or X. They call it X now. Yeah. So, but other than that, I'm just plugging along and doing my job.
Well, as things pop in Jefferson County, we'd love to have you back again soon someday.
Okay.
Please.
That sounds good. Thank
Hasha
you.
Kunzel. She is the Jefferson County Counselor, pro-life legal advocate. When we return, Chris and I are going to dive a little deeper into what's going on in your government at the state and the county level. We're going to dig a little deeper into what's going on in Jefferson County. Going to be a very busy year electorally and politically in Jefferson County.
A lot going on.
A lot of big decisions to be made by you, the Jefferson County voter. We'll tell you all about it and everything you need to know when we return on Jeffco Patriot Radio, 101.9, 94.1. Thanks for listening to News Talk STL.
Hey Jeffco, this is Jim Avery from Avery Injury Law. We're personal injury attorneys that specialize in car wrecks, dog bites, semi-truck crashes, or really anything that happens that's not your fault that results in an injury. At Avery Injury Law, you can trust us to help you when you have to fight with the insurance companies. Don't battle them alone. Choose your friend, Jim Avery from Avery Injury Law. I'm not afraid of insurance companies. Let me fight them for you. Contact us at 314-549-5600 or averyinjurylaw.com.
Welcome back to our third, final, jam-packed segment of Jeffco Patriot Radio. Thanks for joining us. As we know you do every Sunday, here Sunday, January the 11th, 2026. Thanks for listening to us at News Talk STL. We have awesome programming throughout the week, 6 live and local daily shows, a host of awesome, exciting programming throughout the weekend like this program, and following us, St. Charles Patriot Radio as well. Chris Howard has been my beautiful and talented co-host throughout the show this afternoon. Chris, we're going to wrap up our discussion on Jefferson City and state government, then we'll move to Jefferson County.
That's right. Free Missouri.
We're going to be talking taxes in Jefferson City this year. And most importantly, how to reform, reduce them, streamline them. Because as we talked about, Missouri is a very high tax state.
It is.
When you
It's
think
crazy.
of all the taxes we pay.
That's right.
Yes. I'm sure pro-life, as we talked with
That's right.
Asha,
yeah.
will be a big topic. Now, there's a couple of huge ballot initiatives that the legislature dealt with last year that will be on your ballot this year.
Yep.
And most likely on your ballot in November of this year. Amendment 3, as I call it, the new and improved and better Amendment 3.
That's right.
Do you think that, look, we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good on this Amendment 3, can we?
No, we can't. And that's, we let that get in our way too often. And listen, I wish we could do perfect.
So do I.
But we can't always.
I don't have a magic wand.
Yep.
And unfortunately, all of the voters of the state of Missouri, at least, I don't even know if it's 50% plus one. I mean, we hope it is. Believe, if doing a complete and total abortion ban, it has been poll tested 50,000 ways from Sunday.
That's right.
It does not currently pass in Missouri. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's tragic, but it's also reality.
That's right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last set of polls I saw basically showed an overwhelming majority would accept abortion in the cases of rape, incest, in like the first 8 weeks. But once you get past that threshold, it starts to just crater.
Right.
It just starts to crater out. And the current Amendment 3 went way too far, and I don't believe it was honest to the voters about what it was doing. And so I think this new Amendment 3 stands a much better chance of passing. It's not totally pro-life like we would like, but I'll take what I can get.
So what those who are demanding perfection need to understand is we are right now a 100% no holds barred.
That's right.
Abortion on demand.
That's right.
At all 9 months of pregnancy, and if the leftists have their way, even afterwards.
That's right.
Abortion state. And we're a state, Chris, where gender mutilation is allowed on children. And the list goes on. The parade of horribles goes on and on. So you can keep the status quo, or you can look at what's behind door number 2, and that's the only other door that's available.
That's it. Well, and when you were speaker and I was working for you in the House, think about the fact that we had taken incremental measures to protect the safety of those people who were.
That's exactly
remember
right.
that were the people who were going and having the legal abortions at the time. The legislature ratcheted up the safety and reporting. Remember that reporting mechanism.
I carried the late term abortion ban.
Did. That's right.
And so, Chris, we got to do what we used to do, which was incremental progress. And let me tell you, this new Amendment 3, I would hardly call it incremental. It is a huge step back to where we were.
It's closer to where we were before.
Eliminating, 98, 99% of all abortions, except in very limited circumstances. And most importantly, ripping the horrors of gender mutilation out of our state constitution.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, that stuff. And I write for a magazine, and I wrote an article about this. And one of the things that it breaks my heart, it truly hurts me, is these people that are looking at this stuff, or putting their kids up on this satanic altar, if you will, are doing so out of anguish and despair and fear, because their lives have no meaning. And I'm a person of faith, and I believe that if your life has meaning to something bigger than yourself, and in my case, my Savior, you don't look in that pit of despair, and you don't go down that road. And my heart breaks for those people, because I know that they think they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing what their children want, and they just don't.
I'm sorry, I call them godless leftist atheists. I don't know what else to call them. And now they're all running New York City.
Oh gosh, that's a whole nother segment there.
Back here on the home front, Amendment 4, just as important, if not more important than Amendment 3, because it will stop this parade of horribles of these out-of-state and, dare I even say, foreign billionaires who come in here and spend millions and tens of millions of dollars to jerk around with Missouri's Constitution, put all this pink, fluffy unicorn language on our ballot that actually does something else.
That's right.
And to deceive the voters into voting for things
just like they did with the original Amendment 3.
Yes, Obamacare, Medicaid expansion, ranked choice voting. They tried to do that. Thank God that failed. What else? the bad Amendment 3. They're going to try to raise taxes, take away people's Second Amendment rights. So you need to vote for Amendment 4 as well, which still provides an opportunity for citizen-led ballot initiatives. It just makes the threshold to amend the freaking Constitution a little bit higher, as it always should have been.
That's right. And I agree completely, Tim. And one of the, we talked a little bit, and maybe we'll talk about some more, the fact that I'm running for county executive in Jefferson County. My central theme is this. Whether it's Jefferson County or the state of Missouri, Missourians or Jefferson Countyans need to be able to take control of their own destiny. And these outside influences are taking that away, the taxes. We talked one time on the first segment, I was on the inaugural show. One of the things I talked about, the original draft of the Declaration of Independence didn't say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It said life, liberty, and the right to own property.
Yes.
And they changed it to happiness because defining property in that time frame was a little challenging depending on what they wanted to do with it. So anytime you pay a tax, willingly, justifiably, or unjust, the government is taking some of that happiness, the fruits of your labor from you. If we decide that's what we want to do, that's one thing.
Yes.
We get those outside influences, they need to go away.
Yeah, it is a government taking.
That's
it is
right.
indeed. Hey, you brought up politics in 2026 here in Jefferson County, but no, it's fine because it is going to be a very busy, jam-packed year.
It is.
Let's start with you, since you're here with me right now, and talk about the fact that Jefferson County is going to have a new county executive.
One or the other. It's
for the first time in 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years. Yeah, Dennis Gannon is not running again.
And you are a candidate for that position.
I am, and I'm proud to be so. And again, I'll just start off with what I just said. I believe Jefferson County needs to take control of its own destiny. I don't think it's prepared to do that yet because outside influences can take control of things, and I don't want to see that. My experience, 10, almost 11, almost 12 years of experience working for St. Louis County. Listen, Jefferson County today is on the same road that St. Louis County is on. It's just 20 years behind it. It's time to get off that road. And I want to take us off that road. I want to get us economically self-sufficient. 67% of the people who live in Jefferson County work in St. Louis County, which means Jefferson Countyans are dependent on St. Louis County for their economics. If you look at GDP, St. Charles County comes as no surprise, over 9% GDP. St. Louis City, St. Louis County, most people think they're economically circling the drain between 5 and 6%. Franklin County, I like those guys. I can't tell you what they do over there. They're over 5%. Where do you think Jefferson County is?
I'm going to guess that it's lower than all the ones you mentioned.
0.18%.
Oh, my.
So if you talk to a real economist, which I have, that's artificially low. That is suppressing your economy at that level when your neighboring counties are
What
doing
things need to be done to increase that percentage number?
Right. Responsible, fine economic development, depending on where we're talking about in Jefferson County. I don't want to do like St. Charles and throw everything everywhere all at once. The port project, that is the single, it drives me nuts. That is the single most potential impact for not just Jefferson County, not just this region, but for the state of Missouri. Nothing that we can do will drive our economy farther and faster than that project.
And arguably for most of the middle of America, right?
Yes.
Because you're talking about bringing international trade.
That's right. The entire Mississippi River Valley.
Directly into the heart of the country.
Right. And Jefferson County could be the center of that universe. And nothing will be more economically impactful than that. And again, that comes back to allowing Jefferson County and Missourians to take control of their own destiny.
So how do you do all that and maintain the charm that many believe that Jefferson County currently has?
Well, that's a great question. I get that a lot. So at the end of the day, listen, I love the beauty, the natural beauty, the cultural heritage that Jefferson County has. That's why I live there. Right. I love I can always tell when I have left St. Louis County and I've crossed over to Jefferson County. I don't need a sign to tell me. I can look around and tell me. So listen, I'm not going to give that up. It is a balancing act. And is the county executive of Jefferson County, I got to weigh those things out. There are places in Jefferson County that are great for development. There are places in Jefferson County that are not great for development. And there are some places in Jefferson County you couldn't develop if you wanted to because of the topography. You've been out there, you know this. And so you got to balance these things
I can see Jefferson County from my back porch.
There you go. That's right.
To paraphrase the great Sarah Palin when she talked about.
That's right.
Although, she never said that.
No,
that was a made-up line from Saturday Night Live.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. But anyway, I can see if I walk to the top of my street, I see Jefferson County, and it is a beautiful county indeed.
And so I don't want to do anything that destroys that. But again, and part of the problem we have in Jefferson County is without any economic growth, without any development, the citizens who are thinking, well, I like the way it is now and it'll stay that way forever. Well, nothing stays the way forever. So what happens if you have no economic development? We're Republicans. We believe in more taxpayers, not more taxes.
True.
We want so what happens is that 5 years from now, you're paying more in taxes for the exact same or less services than you're getting today. I don't want that.
So if Billy Crow were here, I know he would ask you about data centers. Can I ask you about data centers?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Good, bad. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So it's all the above. So listen, I sit as a citizen advisor to the Jefferson County Council's Economic Development Committee, and we've been having meetings every month about data centers and all the things that go into it. So listen, am I in favor of data centers? Yes, with guardrails, with accountability, and with enforcement mechanisms. So one of the things we found out in Jefferson County, which is one of the first things I want to fix, in any zoning condition of use permit that Jefferson County, our regulations are so out of date that the enforcement mechanisms in some cases don't exist anymore or aren't legal. So we have to update those. So if someone's a bad actor, we have no way to punish them. We have to fix that. Data centers generate huge revenue. We had a meeting just this last week, and it's available online on the county council's site with Altoona, Iowa. You're familiar with that? So they have massive data centers out there. And they told an interesting story. They said when they started down the data center road 10 years ago, nobody knew what they were and everybody wanted them and there was intense competition. Now, all of a sudden, nobody wants them. And so now they're having to do more. Listen, they're quiet. They don't use nearly the water that a lot of them, because they have internal water systems. They're quiet because now the technology is better. The economic growth, the servers are replaced every several years. So there's sales tax, there's all this other stuff that you get. And then, listen, Jefferson County is very pro-labor. We have strong labor. And again, that 67%, those laborers are all going to St. Louis County. What if they had long-standing jobs in Jefferson County? That's what they need.
And my biggest argument is if everybody wants to keep using little supercomputers in their hands for their life, for their families, for their businesses, I would rather use data centers that are built and run here in the United States of America than in communist China.
That's right. Yeah, it's a national security issue.
Chris, the time always goes too fast. I want to make sure that we got a couple minutes left. I want to give you some time to talk about a class you are teaching.
So nothing to do with the campaign. I got to be clear about that.
Yes.
Right. It's just
switching gears.
We're switching gears here. It's a passion of mine. And one of the things that, and this from running for office, citizen apathy is killing this country.
Indeed.
People not being involved. And so at my church and Encounter Church in Arnold, later today, I am teaching a class on advanced citizenship, creating influence in your community for God. And it's just about people trying to get involved in local. We found out during COVID, there's no such thing as an unimportant local office.
For sure.
We learned that lesson the hard way. And so there'll be some food provided today and next Sunday, the 18th. 12:30 at Encounter Church in Arnold. There's a registration online. It's on my personal Facebook page, of course. And we're going to talk about, a lot of times people say, well, I go to church and I shouldn't be involved in politics because the Bible says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, guess what? In the United States of America, we get to choose who our Caesars are.
We do.
And I want people of a Christian mindset and a worldview to pick those Caesars. And that's what this is about.
Thanks for all you continue to do for the community and the region writ large. In the next few weeks of Jefferson County Patriot Radio, we are going to be talking about all of the other political battles and races to be decided, from state senate to state rep races to county council races to other important county positions as well. It's going to be a very busy year. Yes. In Jefferson County.
It is, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for being here with me
Always.
today.
I'm happy to get back within you anytime.
Always a pleasure. All right. Hey, like every Sunday, it's this Sunday, Jeffco Patriot Radio. You should listen to us every Sunday here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Jeffco Patriot Radio back next Sunday at high noon on News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. On behalf of Tim Jones and I just want to thank you for making Jeffco Patriot Radio the #1 listened to show on Sundays here on News Talk STL, where we dive into all the things happening in and around Jefferson County. Check Tim Jones and I out on Jeffco Patriot Radio this and every Sunday at high noon here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.